You want to know something that most women aren't ready to hear? Modern feminism killed chivalry. Modern feminism has shifted from seeking equality to promoting superiority and resentment towards men, framing men as oppressors rather than partners and equals.
Yo, what is going on, guys? It is Taylor the Fiend back again, and today we are taking a look at modern women getting rejected by the good men. Don't forget to drop a comment, make sure you subscribe if you're new here, and let's jump into it.
Last night I went on a date, and I told the man that I was on the date with that I believe that men are a liability for women. And I gave him all the reasons why I believe that so. I also told him that I don't believe it's a woman's job as a wife to clean the house and cook because that's manual labor. I told him that there has to be a better reason for women to get married than access to intimacy because women always have access to intimacy. It doesn't matter how old we are. Even if we're unmarried, we can easily find intimacy.
In other words, she spent the date listing off things that she outright refuses to do.
To summarize, I basically told this man to his face on the first date that he is useless to me unless he makes himself useful, and that he could never expect any trad wife crap from me. So why did I say these things to this man? Because as we were talking, I felt like he could handle it. He seemed emotionally mature, and it seemed like he knew who he is and what he wants. Not all men are like that, and for some men, subtlety is necessary because they get offended so easily.
I mean, you would think it's common sense, but men tend to get insulted when a woman calls him useless within the first few minutes of a date, rightfully so.
But this man actually agreed with me, and I feel like he took it as a challenge. And by the end of the night, I feel like he was obsessed with me. I say this to remind you that there are emotionally intelligent men who are masculine, who also adore intelligent women. These masculine men are not intimidated by intelligence, and they actually search it out because they know it will benefit their lives in the long run. If you consider yourself to be an intelligent woman, then a man like this would make a great husband for you. But it takes a lot of dating to find men like this because they're kind of rare. Until you are married, you are absolutely single, so keep dating until you find the man who loves you for the things that make you special.
You can't claim to be intelligent when you've just spent the last minute being incredibly stupid.
Whatever you do in your life, please do not be a girl boss. And take it from me as someone who was a former girl boss. So I graduated with a degree in electrical engineering from a top engineering program. I hustled so much in my early 20s because I was like, I want to make it. I want to reach the top of the corporate ladder. And it did work to a certain extent. Like I worked at Spotify, I worked at Uber, and I worked at DoorDash as well. But in the process of being a girl boss, I kind of lost my sanity and my physical health was going to the trash.
It's all fun and games until they start to realize that lifestyle actually requires too much work.
I developed PCOS as a result of not taking care of myself, and it took me almost a year and a half to kind of get rid of my symptoms. And I still kind of struggle with it from day to day. And now that I'm just like a stay-at-home girlfriend, I just work out whenever, I freelance, and I kind of live life on my own schedule. And also my quality of life is so much better because I have a man who has provider energy, actually cares for me, has a problem-solving mindset, and he's just a man. Like it's so hard even nowadays to even come across men who are actually men because I don't know what happened in this, what they put in the water or something, but now these men are like acting like women and it doesn't make any sense. But yeah, just don't be a girl boss. Take it from me as a retired girl boss. It's not worth it.
It's rather unsettling to hear that she is a stay-at-home girlfriend. I mean, that is crazy.
I truly believe that feminism is the worst thing that's ever happened to society. And I say that with knowing the fact that I am very privileged to be able to vote and to contribute to the democracy that I live in. It literally ruined everything. It ruined everything. Because in the 1950s or 60s or whatever, you could support a family of 4, 5, 6, whatever, on one salary. You could have a house and a car and 2 cars and send your kids to school, and gas was 50 cents and all this other garbage.
Feminism did nothing but destroy everything for everybody. It's insane how effective it worked.
And now people have to have 2-income households, or single moms are barely getting by. Single parents are barely getting by. On top of that, I'm now expected to work, which is the most trash thing I've ever experienced in my entire life. Maybe I feel that way because I don't have like a big, strong career or whatever, and I'm just a server. I love my kids. I think going to work and having to be separate from them, especially my son, he's 9 weeks old now, and I have to go back to work because we need the money. We're financially screwed if I didn't, right?
It makes no sense how selling your time to a corporation is somehow empowering. And just by the way, many modern day women consider it slavery to, give up their time to perhaps give something to a man by contrast.
My theory on feminism is that it was started by actually like big corporations, and it was so that they could get more people in the workforce and they could get more people to pay taxes, and so that the rich people could get richer. That's my theory on why feminism was actually started. Call me crazy.
The sad part is, feminism left modern women very bitter, exhausted, and just all around unpleasant.
Being a boss babe is the dumbest thing you could do as a girl. You were literally meant to live the dang soft life. I'm not saying you can't do the same thing as a man. I'm not saying you can't become a doctor or lawyer or anything like that, because God knows I have big plans for my life. If you're striving to just outwork a man just for the pure, simple pleasure of like, I'm better than you, the person that's winning is a man. Like, you should never have to work to the point that man to stay at home while you work your booty off, birth kids, and on top of that, come home and have to dictate the household and wear the pants. Then girl, what are you doing? Like, you're literally missing out on the whole purpose of being a woman.
What she just described almost never happens in a household. That's something she imagines.
It's a terrible deal for us to, create feminism or talk about feminism under the umbrella of I can do everything all at once, boss babe. That is the worst end of the stick for women. How does that help us? It's toxic. It actually it gives us a terrible end of the deal. Like, I didn't sign up for this. I didn't sign up for someone telling me that you need to have it all together all the time, be a boss babe, get paid as much as men in the same industry while you're taking care of your 3 kids, while you're taking care of your husband, while you're handling your household. I don't want that pressure.
It doesn't matter if you didn't sign up for it. Feminism changed everything for everybody.
The burnout is real. The feeling of not being able to handle doing everything, but having to show that I can handle everything because that's what boss babe culture is telling us. It's a lot. And I don't want to have to pretend. I don't want to have to fall under that narrative. I want to say that I'm going to try my best to do what I can while I'm not pregnant yet. But when I do get pregnant, something's going to have to take a back seat. So no, it is not I can do everything. It is I can do everything maybe, but in different phases of my life.
Men have to deal with exhaustion every single day. That is the cost of independence. You typically don't hear men complaining about it, though.
My life comes in seasons. Yeah. Season 1 can be fully on me, independent. Season 2 will be my family comes first. And I don't want to feel like I have to compromise something so beautiful as family unit and partnership because I want to fall under this whole, I can do it all together. No, you can't do it all together. Something's got to give. It's either your guilt or your burnout or your relationship. The narrative has shifted completely.
The problem is, these women wait until it's too late to start up families. It's all backwards. They spend their 20s saying, I don't like children, I don't want to have a family, which is fine. Nobody really cares what these women are doing anyway. But then they turn around and complain when they're like 35 and they realize that they're infertile now.
Silent regret of the boss babe era. By 2030, nearly half of working women are going to be projected as unmarried and childless. Not because they failed, not because they're not capable, but because they followed the feminism plan that they were given. From the early 20s, many women were told the same thing. Focus on school, build a career, be independent, relationships can wait, family can wait. You have time. We've all heard that, right? So they listened. They worked the longer hours. They delayed the dating. They passed on good men because now is just not the time.
Modern women bought into the lie that they will always have more time. It doesn't actually work that way.
Maybe they put their relationships on hold because the success felt too urgent in the moment. Now, in your late 20s and early 30s, it works, right? You feel empowered, stable, validated, in total control. Psychology shows a shift that often happens in the late 30s, not because your ambition was wrong, not because success is bad, but because fulfillment does not follow the corporate timeline. That's when the realization hits you, and it hits you hard. I've been grinding since my early 20s. I did everything right. I have security. I'm financially stable, and I'm alone.
They are not only alone, but they are set in their ways that make them even more unattractive to men.
And this is the part that doesn't really get talked about that much. Achievement gives dopamine, right? It's short term. It eventually fades, but connection creates meaning, and meaning lasts. And there's decades of research that show after basic financial stability, more money stops increasing long-term happiness. What does predict life satisfaction is close relationships, partnership, family, and
The irony is how all of those things are considered quote-unquote patriarchy in the eyes of feminists, by the way.
a shared purpose, but biology doesn't negotiate with culture. Attachment does not wait forever, and men who want families don't pause their lives indefinitely. That's why this warning doesn't land at 30. The cost doesn't show up right away. It shows up later, and sometimes when it's too late. This is not anti-career. It is sure as hell not anti-independence, and I am not shaming women. I'm just telling the truth here, okay? You can build success, you can build wealth, you can build power. Just do not let anybody convince you that everything can be postponed without consequence, because that's not true. Some doors close to punish you. They close because time moves forward. You still have time, just not as much as you were told.
Modern women don't seem to understand that they are on borrowed time, and they absolutely love to waste it. I've seen videos, of women in their 30s saying that, their 30s are just an extension of their 20s and it's the exact same thing, and they just continue to party. It's absolutely hilarious.
What do you think about the boss babe phenomenon, Rachel? What do you think about that?
I think it's all a huge farce. I think it's all a mirage. It doesn't exist. I think that women thinking that they're boss babes is pie in the sky silliness. I think it's a result of 100 years of feminist propaganda, and that a lot of women really buy into it because it's in everything, right? Every pop star, every singer, every rapper, every movie star, every TV show you've watched since you were a little kid tells you that you can be an ass-kicking chick. You can take out all the bad guys in the movie, like Roundhouse kicking their ass when you're 90 pounds.
It is crazy how hard the media pushed the girl boss fantasy. It is literally everywhere, and you know what? So many of them bought it.
That you can, be a CEO and do all the things the men do, and it's going to work out for you the same way it works out for them, and that's just not reality. So I actually have a book I wrote about the history of feminism and how that all happened. But yeah, it's made women pretty miserable. All the surveys we've done on women since the 1970s show that they're far unhappier by every metric we can measure than they've ever been. Higher rates of alcoholism, drug abuse, mental illness, loneliness, childlessness. We have a birth rate collapse.
There are plenty of women who go online and then they cry endlessly while telling the world that they're happy. You'll literally come across a video of a woman saying how happy she is. You'll go to her timeline, scroll down, and it'll be her crying.
Women now are saying they can't find men on their level because they'll go to college for 4 to 8 years. They'll get a degree, they'll start their career, and then they'll hit 32. They want to settle down with a guy, and they're like, well, he has to make more than me, and he has to be a foot taller than me, and he has to be all these things. But by the time you're in your mid-30s, those guys have already picked girls that are in their early 20s who are going to give them a bunch of kids and stuff like that. So women have all these expectations that are not realistic. They get out into the world as adults. Things don't match up, and they're like, what's wrong? I don't understand what's happening. I don't know what's wrong.
They also spent their college years making poor decisions and then blaming every single man for those poor decisions.
I did everything I was supposed to do. I went to college. I have a career. I look really pretty. I have all the extensions and the fake tan and the fake boobs, and I did all the things. Why are things not going how I expected? And I think it's because we tell them that they can be like men, and we're not like men, so.
I have a question.
Even when men try to tell them what they did wrong, they refuse to accept it.
You want to know something that most women aren't ready to hear? Modern feminism killed chivalry. Modern feminism has shifted from seeking equality to promoting superiority and resentment towards men, framing men as oppressors rather than partners and equals. With the birth of modern feminism, there came the birth of the girl boss, I don't need a man.
Why should any man be chivalrous to a woman who publicly despises him? It makes absolutely no sense.
Chivalry was never meant to make women look weak. It was made to create a culture of mutual respect where men acted honorably towards women and acknowledged their virtue and grace. Modern feminism, by demanding sameness instead of equality, has blurred those lines. In trying to erase gender differences, it's erased the gestures that celebrate them. The result of this is now we have an entire generation of men who are not willing to honor, pursue, or protect women. We have this entire generation of men who just want to hook up on the first date, who have no respect for women, who don't hold open the door, who don't buy flowers, and it is because of modern feminism.
Even when she makes a point, she still wants to hold the vast majority of men responsible for the sins of Chad. And let's be real, the sins of Chad typically just means men who don't want to actually date her.
Not only that, but it is also a result of weak men. There's a reason that our grandparents have the cutest love stories where the men pursued the women and they didn't have sex until they were married and they respected and honored each other. And now we are seeing the result of the crash and burn of modern feminism. And unfortunately, it is affecting a lot of women looking for life partners and a lot of men looking for life partners. Feminism is great. The idea of feminism is great to promote equality, but it has evolved into something that is toxic and dangerous to our society.
Modern feminism isn't about equality, it's about hate and bigotry towards men. That's what it really is.
And now people have to have 2-income households, or single moms are barely getting by.
Feminists in this situation are actually your friend, not your foe, because I too am mad about the realities of existing in a patriarchal capitalist society. But your whole thing about how, why did women fight for us to be able to have employment? Because now I basically have 2 jobs and nobody can afford anything, and they used to be able to afford stuff, and this whole situation sucks. Yeah, all of that. You're mad at your beef is on point. You're just mad at the wrong institution.
It's sad to watch these women double down on the same ideology that doomed them to fail. I mean, it is kind of funny, though.
You're mad at feminism, which just said, instead of forcing and relegating women to be in the home and work there, it's not like they weren't working, but work without pay and job protections and security, they should have the same and equal opportunities and benefits as their male counterparts. And they should be able to work free of discrimination and harassment. So anyways, that's not what created the double burden and all the things that you're describing. Pause also.
If you have to toss that big of a word salad to defend feminism, then it's honestly not worth defending.
No hate to this woman, though, because like I said, all her beef is on point, and she's just mad at the wrong person, basically. And when she said this, in this tone, I was like, we could actually be friends.
I'm now expected to work, which is the most trash thing I've ever experienced in my entire life.
Honestly, yeah. And the double burden that you're describing, that I basically have 2 jobs now because I'm doing all this domestic labor too. Studies do show that women in heterosexual partnerships, when both parents work, she's doing upwards of 80% of the domestic labor, even when she's the breadwinner herself.
She's putting words in this woman's mouth. She's not talking about basic household chores here.
So we entered the workforce, and because patriarchies have always devalued our labor and also naturalized that labor, so she's better at it, it comes more naturally to her, women are just cleaner, all those things, we haven't changed our expectations from a patriarchal breadwinner model. And now women are suffering from a double burden. But again, not because feminism endorsed that. We just endorsed you being able to have opportunities and choices and benefits available to you and not have things taken away from you solely based on your sex or gender.
She completely missed the point and didn't even bother to address the dual income burden at all.
The internet is always oscillating between divine femininity and girl boss feminism, and they both suck. Do I have an answer? No, but let's talk about the context. I've been hitting not interested in every single How My Partner I Split Finances videos because the comments are always filled with something along the lines of, well, you're a goddess, so your man should be paying for everything. Now, of course, these comments are well-intentioned, but I always find this line of reasoning to feel oily. The idea that women deserve to be financially accommodated for by virtue of being a woman ties back to the idea that men transactionally provide labor and resource value in return for women's reproductive value.
Calling a woman a goddess isn't coming from a place of support. It's just sabotage, really. What even is that?
You take care of me because I am going to carry your children. That is how the dynamic has historically played out, and it's rooted in bioessentialist claims. Now, since we've kind of realized that women exist beyond being human incubators, this logic still persists with ideas of, well, I make you look good, so you should take care of me. I am a high-value woman. I am successful and beautiful, therefore I am worthy of indirect compensation. But what does that boil down to? It means you, the man, gain social capital by being in this relationship with me, therefore making you look better to your male peers. This is a very common thought process, and no matter how high value the woman is, she is reduced to a flashy accessory.
Men don't need women as a status symbol. Their hard work speaks for itself. And let's be honest, guys, many modern day women, they're not status symbols. They don't make men look any better. In fact, a lot of guys just avoid being in public with them. Make sure you click on one of the videos on screen now to watch more if you liked today's video. Don't forget to take care of yourself, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.